Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Ria and this is your weekly astrology horoscope for the week of April 11th to April 17th, 2022. So for this video, I'm just going to talk really briefly about the background energies, the energies that we're entering the week with. Then we're going to talk about the events of this week, and then very briefly, I will mention what's going to happen next week, what to expect, what's going on, and towards the end of the video, I will pull a few cards for the week's energies. So let's get started. But before that, I do request you to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you can be notified every time I post a video. And on my channel, I post weekly horoscopes, new moon horoscopes, and full moon horoscopes. And you can watch those if you are interested. So let's get started. Now, this week, we have three extremely important events, right? But before we talk about those, let's talk about the background energies that we're entering the week with. So on April 4th or 5th, depending on your location, right, Mars and Saturn met up, they conjuncted, and you can see they're still pretty close on the chart, Mars and Saturn. They met up, and they meet up once in 2 years. So last week, you can watch my last week's video to know the details for that. But that happened, and we started a new 2-year cycle. Also, Venus changed signs last week on April 5th. Venus is right here. It's at 6 degrees of Pisces as we enter this week, but it changed signs last week. And Venus in Pisces is a very free-flowing, flexible energy when it comes to our relationships and projects, right? So this week we have that subtle shift that wasn't there at the beginning of last week. And then on April 10th, Mercury here changed signs yesterday, Sunday, right? Mercury is now in Taurus and it will retrograde between Gemini and Taurus, right? Starting May 10th. So Taurus is where it will retrograde as well. It'll go into Gemini, then retrograde, and from Gemini back into Taurus. So now it's entered the sign of Taurus, and Mercury in Taurus is a more stable, secure, slow moving energy when it comes to our thinking, our communication, our habits, etc. So that's the basic background, and we are still in the new moon in Aries energy that happened on 1st April, and this week we have a full moon in Libra. And if you want to know more about the new moon in Aries energy, the new moon video is already on my channel. So that's pretty much as far as the background energies are concerned, right? Three important things: Mars and Saturn conjuncted last week, Venus changed signs into Pisces, and Mercury changed signs from Aries to Taurus. Now this week we have three extremely important events. Saturn is going to square the nodes. We have the Neptune-Jupiter conjunction, which is happening after 13 years. And we also have a full moon in Libra towards the end of the week. So these are the highlights. Mars is going to change signs as well, but three extremely important events and Mars changing signs. So let's talk about these things one by one, and let's start with Saturn squaring the nodes, right? So Saturn is right here. This is the south node and this is the north node, right? It's making a 90-degree angle with both these nodes. Now, if you've been watching me, this is something you know. I've spoken about this in my past couple of videos, but it comes exact today. The energy is at its peak today. And any planet that squares the nodes, right, is magnified. So Saturn right now is magnified. And after this, the energy of this configuration will start to ease off after Monday. This happens on Monday. And Saturn squaring the nodes means Saturn is magnified. Saturn is the planet of hard work. It's the planet of decisions. It's the planet that sets things in stone. It defines things, right? So Saturn is not very bad at all. So Saturn can bring with it good things in terms of decisions and setting things in stone and commitments, but Saturn energy can feel slightly restrictive and limiting. So we've been in this energy. It's not new. We've been feeling it for at least 2-3 weeks, but now today on Monday, it's at its peak. And then after this, it will start to ease off. So that's how we begin this week, right? And Saturn squaring the nodes can also mean that Saturn is the planet that will bring us from the past. The south node represents the past into the future. North node represents the future. So through hard work, through decisions, through commitment, through discipline, through perseverance, right? Saturn perseveres. We can move from the past into the future. So this energy will be at its peak on Monday, and then it's going to start to ease off. And that's how we begin this week, right? Now, moving on to the second important thing. This happens on Tuesday. And I spoke about this in my last week's video as well. We have Jupiter and Neptune conjuncting, right? Now, this is the highlight of this week. This is a rare transit, right? The last time Jupiter and Neptune met up was in 2009 in the sign of Aquarius. And now, after 2009, it's meeting up in the sign of Pisces. And the next conjunction will be in 2035. So it's a rare energy to go through once in about 13 years or so. And let's break this energy down, right? So Jupiter is a magnifier. It expands anything it touches. And Neptune is the planet of the higher realms. It's the planet of connecting with the higher realms. It's the planet of spirituality and creativity and design, and it's the higher octave of Venus. So it's very creative, artistic. It's also the planet of confusion as well, right? So that's the dark side of Neptune, that it can bring confusion. But generally speaking, Neptune is a very creative energy. It's a very spiritual energy. It's an energy that brings with it a connection with the divine, right? A connection with the higher realms. So these are all Neptune ruled things, and Neptune is also our subconscious mind. It's our past. It's the past that we carry with us in our subconscious mind. So all these things are Neptune, and Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. Jupiter used to rule Pisces, and Pisces is all the things that Neptune is in many ways, right? Creativity, spirituality, higher realms, a lot of subconscious energy, a lot of energy about closing out the past, a lot of energy about spiritually reaching for the higher realms, right? Awakening spiritually. Uranus is more the awakener, but Neptune is more that connection you have with the higher realms. So all these things are Pisces and Neptune, and Jupiter is a planet that brings blessings, rewards, lessons, and it's also a magnifier. So what could be happening with this conjunction is that Pisces is magnified, right? There could be a lot of energy that helps us awaken. There could be a lot of energy that helps us connect with the higher realms. There's a lot of creative energy. So this can bring a new 13-year cycle when it comes to creative things, how we use our creativity, how we channel our spirituality. It can mean new things for these, for creative things and spiritual things, a new, I don't know how to phrase it, a new way of being creative, a new way of maybe channeling how we are spiritual, but it can lead to a lot of spiritual awakening. It can lead to a lot of connection with the higher realms. The only thing we need to be mindful of is that since Jupiter is there, and usually it's benefic, right? It gives gifts and blessings and rewards, but sometimes it can magnify the not so pretty side of Neptune, right, which is confusion. So we need to be mindful of that. So that's what this conjunction can bring, a new cycle in how we channel our creativity, how we channel our spirituality. It can lead to us awakening more spiritually, right? It can lead to a form of liberation from the material, right? We can find more solace in spirituality and realize that maybe, material things have their place, but spirituality is important as well. So it can really highlight these spiritual undertones in our life. It can highlight universal love and compassion, because Pisces is also universal love and compassion. And this cycle can close out the past in a powerful way, because Pisces is the end of the zodiac. It's where we close out the past. So it could be that this conjunction helps us release a lot of subconscious stuff and close out the past in that sense. So that's what this conjunction is going to bring. Let me think if there's anything I have missed out. And I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, and one more thing, to know where this conjunction is going to impact you, right? You'll have to look at your chart, because this is happening at 23 degrees of Pisces, 23 into 24 degrees of Pisces. So whichever house the 23, 24 degree of Pisces is in, that's where this energy is going to influence you. So that's where it's going to be in your specific chart. But generally speaking, it will start this new cycle when it comes to Piscean things. And this is, I think, the first time that we are seeing this complete cycle of Neptune and Jupiter conjuncting, because I think Neptune was discovered in 1846. The first time these planets conjuncted in Pisces was 1856. And since then, the conjunction in Pisces is happening now. So many years later, right? So it's completed that one whole circle of the zodiac in that sense, conjuncted, and now they're finally conjuncting again in Pisces. The last time the conjunction happened in Pisces was 1856. So this is the conjunction energy, and we will be feeling this. It's not like it's only going to happen on Tuesday. It's the build-up, right? These are slow-moving energies, especially Neptune. So we are feeling the build-up. We have been feeling this build-up, but it comes exact on Tuesday, April 12th. And then on Thursday, we have Mars here changing signs, right? So let's see that. There we go. So Mars here has changed signs. You can see this from Aquarius. It has entered the sign of Pisces. And now we have 4 energies in Pisces, right? We have Jupiter there, the planet that used to rule Pisces, Neptune, the planet that currently rules Pisces, Venus, the planet that loves the sign of Pisces, and now Mars. And Mars doesn't feel very comfortable in Pisces, but that's not a negative thing, right? Because Mars is the planet of our energy. It's our drive. It's how we take action. It's how we do things. And in Pisces, it's just that we become more flexible, right? Pisces is a very free-flowing, flexible, intuitive energy. It says, I feel like doing this. Oh, okay, this has come up. Fine. That's fine. I'll be flexible about it. So the way we do things becomes more Piscean. We become more flexible in how we do things, more free-flowing, more easygoing, right? So that, in my opinion, is a good thing. So that's happening as well. We'll see this shift. Mars up until now has been in Saturn-ruled energies, right? It was in Capricorn, where it loves to be a Saturn-ruled energy. Then it entered Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, yes, but Saturn used to rule it. So Saturn is more comfortable there. So Mars is entering Pisces after being in 2 Saturn-ruled energies, and Saturn-ruled signs are not the easiest signs, right? Because they're ruled by Saturn. They're not negative. It's just that the energy feels like I have to work hard and I have decisions to make and that sort of feeling. But Pisces used to be a Jupiter-ruled energy, right? So it's more easygoing, it's more free-flowing, it's flexible, it just feels easier. And now Mars is going to be there, so we'll see this shift as well. We'll see this. And the last thing that I want to talk about for today is the full moon in Libra. So let me pull up the chart for that. And this full moon's happening at 26 degrees of Libra. So let's see that happen. Okay, there we go. So this is happening on 16th April, right? And I will break the full moon energy in my full moon video in detail, but let's just talk about it real quick because it is happening this week, right? It's an important event and it's happening this week. So full moon is when the sun and the moon oppose each other like this, right? It's happening at 26 degrees of Libra. You can see this, it's in Libra. And full moons, generally speaking, are a point of completion, are a point of release, emotional release, are a point of culmination. So we'll see all these things on this full moon, right? Completions, culminations, endings, release, emotional release. But this is happening in the sign of Libra, right? And Libra is concerned with our relationships. So a lot of focus on our relationships with this full moon. Libra is also the sign that is concerned with finding balance. So perhaps a theme of finding balance in our lives can come up with this. It's also a very diplomatic energy, Libra, right? So perhaps something to do with that. It's also an energy that likes to weigh things out, right? Pros, cons, should I do this? Should I do that? What's a better way? So we might be doing that in our lives as well with this full moon. So these are the themes that can come up with Libra. Libra is also the sign of beauty and art, right? It's a Venus ruled energy. It's about business partnerships as well. So all these themes can be brought to light with this particular full moon. Now, if you are familiar with your chart, look for 26 degrees of Libra. That's where this energy is going to impact you. So that's that in a nutshell. And I just want to talk about the aspects this full moon is making. Now, the most important aspect this full moon is making is a square to Pluto, right? 90 degree, 90 degree. So Pluto is right there. It's a 2-degree orb almost. And Pluto here is the planet of transformation. It's the planet of spiritual transformation as well, right? It rules the sign of Scorpio. And Scorpio is where we face the dark to rise above the dark, right? To find the light. So Pluto in many ways is about that spiritual transformation we go through from the Scorpion into the Eagle, the rising Phoenix. It's also a sign that deals with endings and beginnings and catharsis and healing, right? It's a lot of healing that Pluto can bring as well. But Pluto is a planet that likes to uncover the truth, right? It digs deep to find the truth. It brings things to the surface. It brings out hidden information. And now it is squaring this moon, right? So all these Plutonian themes will color this moon. So this moon can bring with it a transformation, a catharsis, a healing, something coming to light connected to Libra, right? Our relationships, or even our business partnerships, or beauty and art, or anything Libra related, or about finding balance, right? It can bring out some fact that says, okay, things are clearer now. Maybe I can balance my life a little bit better now. That depends on you, but that's the basic energy of this moon, that it's in a square to Pluto, right? So it can bring about transformation, change, endings, beginnings, healings, and catharsis, or it can bring some things to light, to the surface. And that is the most important aspect this moon is making. Let's not forget that on this moon, Saturn here will still be in a square with the nodes, right? So that feeling of feeling slightly restricted and limited might still be there with us, although by the end of the week, it will start to ease off, right? Because Saturn is really moving on. And I didn't mention this on Monday when Saturn squares the nodes exact, because I've spoken about this in depth in my previous videos, but this conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune is in a sextile with the North Node. So there is always this silver lining, although Saturn is squaring the nodes, right? There's this silver lining to Saturn squaring the nodes. But I won't get into that in this video because I've talked about it a lot in my previous videos. So coming back to this full moon, I just want to mention a couple of more things. First is that on this full moon, Mercury and Uranus are almost conjunct, right? Uranus is the planet of sudden changes, of insights, epiphanies, realizations. It's the planet that wants us to awaken, right? It's the planet that wants us to be our unique, authentic self. And now it's almost conjunct Mercury, right? Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, and Mercury is the planet of our thinking, communication, logical mind, our day-to-day routine, health, job, diet, lifestyle, etc. All these are Mercury-ruled things. So in many ways, with this full moon, we can have insights and epiphanies, we can have realizations, because the planet of realizations, awakenings, epiphanies is contacting our logical mind. So that's definitely a possibility. We can also maybe have sudden changes, unexpected changes to Mercury ruled things, to our thinking perhaps, or maybe a communication or a sudden communication can come about, or we can make sudden unexpected changes to our diet or to our routine or to our immediate environment. Things like that can also happen on this full moon. And this full moon is also happening at a point where Neptune and Jupiter are still really close, right? They conjunct a few days before this full moon. And so we'll be feeling this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction energy in a very powerful way on this full moon. And one of the things this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction can bring is a lot of awakening, a lot of spiritual awakening, a lot of connecting with the higher realms, a lot of awakening it can bring. And why do I say this? It's happening in Pisces, right? Pisces is the higher realms. It's the other realms. It's connecting with the divine. The way we connect with the higher realms is when we let go of our boundaries, right? The mental boundaries that we have. And that's what Neptune does. And it's happening in Pisces. So one of the things that this conjunction can really bring with it is a lot of awakening. And Jupiter is there, so it can really magnify the awakenings. It can magnify the number of people that are awakening. So things like that. And we'll be feeling this on this full moon as well. So I would say that it is a pretty straightforward full moon in the sense that the most important aspect it's making is a square to Pluto. So that's that. And before we finish this up, this Pluto right here is also in a sextile with this conjunction. 60-degree angle. It's a 4-degree orb, but they're still sextiling. And Pluto can lend a lot of its power. Pluto is power to this conjunction of Neptune and Jupiter as well, right? It can lead to a lot of transformation. Not only will Neptune and Jupiter coming together start a new 13-year cycle, but it can be a cycle that's very transformative, that can come with ending things, beginning things, or receiving healing as well. So Pluto is aspecting the conjunction as well. But coming back to the moon, so this is a moon that is happening in Libra, associated with relationships, associated with finding balance, and the fact that it's in a square to Pluto means that it can bring about a lot of transformation. It can bring about healing or an ending of something or a beginning of something. So that's how we end the week. Now, this week is an extremely important one in astrology, extremely important one because we have one of the most important events, I would say the most important event of 2022 happening this week, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, and we're coming into this week with a new 2-year cycle of the Mars-Saturn conjunction that happened last week. And we also have Saturn squaring the nodes, something that doesn't happen very often. And we also have a full moon this week. So a lot of important events this week. And let me just tell you what's going to happen next week, and then I'll move on to what I have to say. So next week we have, let me pull this up. Next week we have a lot going on, right? We have Mercury and Uranus conjuncting exact. You can see they're really close on Saturday. And we have on the same day, the Sun will square Pluto. The Sun's right here. 2 days later, it's going to square Pluto exact. We also have Venus and Uranus getting ready to sextile. You can see this. Venus is right here, 12 degrees. It's going to hit 13 degrees and sextile Uranus. We also have the Sun changing signs. It's going to leave Aries and enter Taurus, right? And we also have the Mercury-Saturn square. So Mercury is going to move on and it's going to square Saturn next week. Actually, not next week. That's April 23rd. Is it next week? I think it's next week. Next week or so. And we also have a new moon solar eclipse, but that's on April 30th. So the next moon we have, right, on April 30th is going to be an eclipse. And eclipses bring karmic events. Eclipses are fated events. So we are entering that zone of 2 weeks or so where we will have karmic and fated events. Not right now, not this week, not next week, but April 30th onwards. So I just thought I'd give you a heads up. And now I will pull a few cards for this week's reading and then we'll close it out. Start with this deck. Forgiveness. And we've got this card so many times, and I think I'm going to say the same thing that I say when this card comes up, is that there's a lot of Pisces, right? This week even Mars comes into Pisces, and Pisces is a sign associated with closing out the past, and sometimes we need to forgive to close out the past. But Pisces is also unconditional love, it's universal love, it's compassion, right? And we can only be compassionate, we can only practice that selfless love when we forgive, right? We cannot really love selflessly while we are holding pain, resentment, grudges inside us. So maybe this is telling us to forgive, to let go, to move on, to practice universal love and compassion. I think that energy is really, really highlighted. It has been for a few weeks. It's been, I think, 3-4 times in the past 4, 5, 6 videos that I've pulled this card. So okay, let me pick the next card. Taking risks, right? And this card is telling us to go after what we want because we are in Aries, right? We are in the Aries energy. We are in the new moon in Aries energy. And Aries is what? It's a Mars-ruled energy. It goes after what it wants. Aries does not hold back. It's about taking initiative. It's about taking action. And sometimes that comes with the risks, right? So what this is telling us is that it's the time to take action. It's the time to go after what you want. It's the time to make things happen, right? And all planets are still direct. By the end of this month, April 29th, Pluto is going to go retrograde, and then slowly, one by one, all planets will start going retrograde, because on May 10th, Mercury also goes retrograde. So this is the time, right? This is the time to take that risk if you want, to take that action if you like. Let's see what lesson we have in store for this week. Love. I commit to the practice of seeing the good in all things, and this is Pisces, right? Universal love and compassion, unconditional love, selfless love. And we can really love when we see the good in something. We all have good, we all have bad things about ourselves, right? There's always that positive, there's always that negative. Even signs have their positive traits and negative traits, right? So there's nothing that's truly perfect or all good or all bad. But if we focus on the good, right, we can always find that love in our heart. If we focus on the good of a situation or a person or anything, right, we can find that soft feeling within us, that feeling of compassion, that feeling of love. That's also Pisces. Okay, let's go with one more. Wisdom, remember. And maybe some message about working from a place of wisdom. Jupiter is the planet of wisdom, right? And it is conjuncting Neptune, and Jupiter brings with it wisdom and lessons and learning, and perhaps we might need to remember to work from a place of wisdom, right? And when we work from a place of wisdom, this card, love, right, seeing the good in all things around us, forgiveness, all these things come with wisdom. So perhaps it's saying work from a place of wisdom this week. And I'll pick the last card and then we'll close it out. Here and now. And what this card is saying is that focus on the present, right? Be in the here and now. The past is done. Past, I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this? Can you see this? I think it's pretty clear now. All right. So the past is here. It's done with. And the future is awaiting us. But we're not there yet. We are here, right? And to enter the future, we have to leave behind the past, and this is the door to the present, right? We have to take that. We have to act on that right now. It's Aries. All planets are direct, right? Closing out the past is a big, big theme associated with Pisces. And there's so much Pisces right now, but there's Aries too. So it's not like we can just not take action, not do things, not move on, and just focus on closing out the past. No, we have to do both, right? Simultaneously. There's energy in Aries and there's energy in Pisces, both together. So very clear message of focusing on the present. So that sums it up, and I'll show you guys the cards once again, just so you know. Okay. Taking risks and being in the here and now. I think these two tie in together, that we have to be present and make things happen, not think about the past or be anxious about the future. I know that's not easy. I know we get, especially for me, right? I get anxious about the future. I'm Virgo with Mercury retrograde, so anxiety is something I understand. But don't get anxious for the future. And I also have lots of Scorpio and Capricorn, so that thing of thinking very deeply about what happened or the past, that's also there. So I get that as well. And as hard as it is, because I know it's not easy, we must focus on the present. And when I focus on the present, right, when I do my daily things, when I stick to my system, things just are easier. It's just much easier. So I think that's what this card is trying to say, that be in the here and now and things will be easier, right? Just do what you can. And that's all we can do, really, right? The best that we can do. And 3 cards talking about that Piscean energy of forgiving, of loving and seeing the good in all things and all beings so that we can love, and working from a place of wisdom. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.